Hey everyone, I'm David Caraccio, and today we're going to be reacting from an article from CNBC. Now, this article is a very serious article, and the topic of wire fraud is not a joking matter at all or a laughing matter, but I will be making some funny remarks because it is a reaction video of this article. Now, before we even get started, or before you start saying I'm harsh or mean in the comments, just to let you know this family did have a happy ending. We'll get to that in a minute, but I'm not like, I don't have any emotions, or I'm not a mean person. All right, so if I'm making jokes, it's part of the video. So like I said, this article is from CNBC. It was dated back in October of 2020. They've edited a couple times since then, but this is a pretty recent article. Now, wire fraud is something that is on a rise here in the United States. What that means essentially is the title company is giving you wiring instructions as a buyer, and they're saying, transfer X amount of money over to our company, and here's the wiring instructions to our bank accounts. And they simply have emailed you from a different email, and they stole your, they're going to steal your money. But this article is exactly that. It's textbook, straight from Wire Fraud for Dummies book. Unfortunately, these buyers did get caught into the wire fraud, but like I said, there is a happy ending to it. So Aaron and Lindsay are the names. They were buying a house in California. This home was a $1.4 million home. That's a beautiful, starter home in California. And they were in the process of closing. So they already had the house under contract. They've gone through, California's a little different. So they went through their escrow. You go in escrow. Escrow is such a big thing in California. In Texas, it's like, it's escrow. Escrow means you gave some money to put in an escrow account. But for California, it's like, we're in escrow. So I think it's always funny when I see that. But they go through escrow, they get to the part of actually closing, and a couple days before closing, the title company sends them an email saying, hey, wire $9,900,235.10 $921,325.10. There we go. For some reason, my mind was looking at that. I was thinking 9 million because the house was worth 1.4 million. So I was messing that all up. Okay. So they might have put a larger deposit down on the house. That's a reason why it's, just over $900,000 versus being in the millions, but, over $1 million for the closing. But this money was for the closing. This is the remaining balance they had left to close this property. That's a lot of money. That's a lot of money. They're purchasing this property with, it says on the article, with inheritance money. So the couple was hit with what's known as wire fraud, increasingly common crime. Now, this is, like I said, it is increasing in the United States, and it's been up according to the article, I think it said about 17% year over year from last year, but it's up thousands of percents if you look over a couple of years ago. It's a lot. A 13% increase in the same period last year is what it says. Total year to date at the time of October when this article was written, $220 million that this scam has taken in. So this is the FBI that they've been able to track and record so far. That's a lot of money. Now, in another article that was from Rocket Mortgage, they said it was over $1 billion, and that was in 2015. So I feel like this $220 million could be higher. FBI hasn't recorded it yet, or still processing the complaints. But that's a lot of money. Now, what they're essentially doing is they're, like I said, they're sending you an email as a buyer saying, wire your money to this, this account. And when we get to the end of this, I'm going to talk about how to avoid these situations. And there's one easy way to always avoid any type of wire fraud or any type of email fraud when it comes to closing a house, because a lot of the data is public when you're purchasing a home. Some areas of MLSs give out more data than others, so it's easier to access if you're on just something as easy as realtor.com. Like in Texas, for example, if you look at closing, you can see what the house was listed for. You won't see what it actually sold for. You'll only see the listing agent information on there. But in New York, for example, when you start looking at realtor.com or Zillow or other information, other public sources, you'll see who was the realtor, how much it actually sold for, how much, a lot more data is readily available out of the public area. So, obviously all you have to do is look at public records and you can find that information. But when it's on Zillow or Realtor, it's even easier to find that information out. So they're able to find out, okay, who's closing this house, who's representing who, and how do I send an email to make it look like it's from them, or from them instead of me, the person in a mask behind a computer. All right, so like I said, this one was published in October of 2020. Now, 2 days later, the mortgage company called asking about the wire transfer. The company inquired where the money was, and Aaron nervously said Wells Fargo. And the reason why I want to point out this specific piece, they are using very popular banks. This isn't like a random Switzerland bank or a Chinese bank that they're saying. No, this is Wells Fargo. This is one of the major banks in the United States, and they are committing wire fraud through those banks for a reason, because when you see Wells Fargo, you think that sounds about right. The documents comply with the Fishers show that the fraudulent email digital copies of the real closing documents. The real closing documents were sent to them, and wiring instructions that looked real from the fake accounts. Now, CNBC, where is your editor? Because you forgot your period in this quote. You did not put your little tiny period in there, so I did it for you. There you go. The big key piece of that, though, is they're using the real closing documents. They are able to, in the actual scam, especially when they know that the closing document is going to have a large amount, like $900,000, they're going to go above and beyond to make sure they get their ducks all lined up and to make this as real as possible. Now, this is different, though, because a lot of times the buyers are only coming down with a down payment. So maybe it might be, if they're using FHA, 3.5%. If they're a VA, maybe they're just coming up with the closing costs. If they are conventional, it could be anywhere between 5 to 20% down. For them, they were coming out of pocket the full amount of this house, not financing it. So they went above and beyond, found the closing documents. They probably got that through a title company that was emailed out to maybe a mobile notary, especially with COVID. Right now, with COVID, everyone's like, mobile notaries, they're doing a lot of closings outside of the title company to keep their title, escrow officers safe. So this could easily have been emailed the documents over to the mobile notary. They were able to capture that, and now they're acting as if they're the title company, sending the closing documents as well as probably the settlement statements over to the buyers and saying, here is where you need to wire that information to. That is crazy. That is a lot of work. But when you say there's a $900,000 commission to it, I understand why these people are doing this. Now, like I said, most of the time these scams are going to be, $10,000, $20,000, $30,000, $50,000 scams. But this one, because it was all cash, this was a big payday for this scam artist. Now, I love this photo that CNBC put onto their article, the diversion. And they have the laptop, which I'm assuming they mean the buyer, the buyer's laptop. You have the mortgage company in the middle, and then you have Wells Fargo sitting off to the corner. And it's funny because it just, the diversion. I just explained how much more work had to go into it in order to make this fraud work. And they just put an image saying, buyer, the mortgage company, or sorry, which actually should have been the title company, not the mortgage company. And then over here, it's Wells Fargo. So even this image is wrong. It's not the mortgage company. It's the title company. They're buying this house in cash. There is no mortgage company. So yeah, CNBC, your editors are wrong. Change that, please. That should be title up there, not mortgage. But yes, all they did is really what they did is they just changed the routing number to their bank instead. But everything else, the signature blocks, the emails, they all look like they're coming from the title company. Be careful. And I'm going to tell you exactly, watch to the end, because I'm going to tell you the easiest way to avoid this situation if you're buying a house, or even if you're selling and you're emailing your information over the title. Title is aware of mortgage fraud. So they're going to do what I'm going to recommend to you to do to them. But it is one easy step. I'll tell you exactly how this works. So it says, incredibly, and this is the happy ending of this story, is incredibly the bank has been able to get their money back. Aaron says, I'm still nervous. Days after that call, we don't know why the bank gave us that money. Now, when the news reporters and people were trying, and the attorney was calling Wells Fargo, trying to figure out where the money was, Wells Fargo said that we have to protect our customers' rights. So the person who's committing the fraud, we still have to protect their rights and privacy. They were able to get the money back, but they never disclosed how they got the money back. That might be just Wells Fargo going, we lost money, which I don't think is how it was. But they probably were able to recoup the funds and bring it back to the buyer, fortunately. And the happy ending is the buyer actually came back. The house was still on the market. They put the offer back in. They were able to close, and now they're living in a new home. That doesn't happen all the time. Actually, most of the time it doesn't happen. So that was very fortunate, especially with the amount of money they put into it, especially with an inheritance. I couldn't even imagine, like, it's hard enough losing a family member and you inherit money, and that money, even though it's nice to inherit money, it still comes at a loss of a family member. So it's not really like a great day to celebrate. And then you lose all that money, not by gambling. You're trying to buy a house for your family out of that inheritance money, and someone steals that money. So that's where I'm saying it is a serious matter, because, money is money. It's hard earned, whether it's your money or inherited money or, whatever it may be. It is hard earned money, and somebody else is just stealing that away from you. And number 10, I have another quote here, which is funny. I got it from Rocket Mortgage. They're trying to explain how, mortgage fraud or wiring fraud happens. And they say, the person you have been communicating with over email has never been your agent. Of course, it's the realtor. It's us, the ones that are being, hit by these phishing scams. So how these scammers are getting a hold of, really information that really looks like it's from the title company or from another party that's involved in the mortgage closing, there is what they're doing is they're phishing those people. So they're sending them saying, hey, click on this link. Now, Rocket Mortgage being a mortgage company, obviously they're not going to say, oh, it's the mortgage company that's doing it. No, it's the agents. The agents are always the ones that are wrong. That's the same thing with us. We always say, hey, mortgage companies, you're the one that's delaying closing. You get your crap together. So it's funny because it's, they're pointing the fingers at us on this example. It's just a thing that mortgage companies and realtors love to do all the time. They can kind of stab each other in the back. I guess it's not that funny, but what they're doing essentially is they're phishing us. So, with realtors, we get emails all the time saying, hey, I'm a buyer from this place. I'm trying to move into there. Email me if you are able to take on another buyer, or if you're able to help me out. Hey, I have a link here. A couple houses I've already looked at. Do you mind taking a look at these and see if they're still available? You click on that link and then boom, they get to your information. So realtors, because we're always, trying to get another lead, and that's what our business is, to generate leads. We're more prone, I guess you could say, to hitting that, because normally we're dealing with the customers first, then the mortgage company, then the title company. So, we're kind of on the first line, usually in communication with the title, or with the buyers, or with the leads. Typically, mortgage companies and title companies, they get their leads from us. So, unless if there's a realtor or fake realtor account coming out there saying, hey, I'm looking to close this house. You mind taking a look at the file that I embedded in with viruses? So they're phishing us. And then from the phishing, though, they're pulling, all the information they can to make it look as similar as is from you. And then also, if they could especially if they get a hold on public records of who you're representing as a buyer or as a seller, they now have full access to this wire fraud, if they do it correctly. Now, the steps you need to take, this is the most important part of the video. The steps you need to take to avoid wiring fraud is when you get an email instructions, call whoever sent you that wire instructions. Don't call the number on the signature block, because they can be, if they want to take one extra step, they could actually change just one digit of that to throw you off. Make sure you call the company, the actual company, ask for the escrow officer or the assistant to the escrow officer, whoever sent you that wiring instructions, and confirm number to number to number. Because what a lot of times they like to do is just change one number of that account, and then boom, wire fraud. So you want to be very specific. Make sure the routing number is correct. Make sure that the account number is correct. Make sure that the actual bank itself is correct. And talk to them over the phone. The easiest way to confirm, to make sure that is not wire fraud, is just communicate over the phone. Don't just, rush to the bank and do this wire transfer because you got an email from your agent or from your mortgage officer or from your title company saying, hey, we have a change. Now, that's one of the things they love to do. So the title company will wire over the closing instructions along with that wire sheet. And then you'll get a random another email from whoever may be part of your transaction saying, hey, there's been a quick change or an urgent change on your closing, and we need to change this is your new routing number. If you see that is pretty much 100%, I'll say 99.999% chance of wire fraud right there. That's textbook. But what this family unfortunately went through was a pretty sophisticated version of wire fraud. They were able to actually procure the actual closing documents for the house, which is a little more unusual. Usually they're just sending you wiring instructions and saying, hey, urgent update, wire to here if you want to close on time, or you're going to lose the house. They love to say that, just like, if you don't answer this phone call right now and send us a Amazon gift card, we're going to call the warrant cops and the cops are going to arrest you. That's exactly what they're saying, but they're trying to incite fear other ways. They're going to say, we're if you don't wire this funds within 24 hours, we're going to, or even less, 6 hours, we're going to, cancel or terminate your contract and you'll be at default of purchasing this home. They're going to do something like that to scare you. So that way you don't even think about calling the other person. You're like, crap, I need to call my bank and make this happen. That's what they do. So like I said, this is a very serious topic. Wire fraud is not a joke. It is definitely on the rise, especially with technology coming out today, and the more sophisticated phishing accounts that are setting up to target people who are in the real estate industry. This is going to be a long-term battle with us and the client. So if you are a realtor, make sure you share this video. If you don't work in Texas or New York, then you don't have to worry about me competing with you. But if you share this video with your family or friends who are looking to purchase or sell a home, let them know that this is a serious thing. This is a serious topic, and you make sure that they are calling the title company or the mortgage company and confirming wiring information, because if not, they are gambling essentially. When unfortunately this family, unbeknownst to them, they were gambling with their inheritance money. I can't believe they actually got their money back. I'm grateful that they got their money back, and I hope that Wells Fargo. Oh yeah, okay. So he was using Bank of America. That was his bank. Wells Fargo was the other bank. But I hope Wells Fargo, finds out who this was. The FBI did say though that someone close related to this family did, put out there that the money was wired to an account in China. So that doesn't really surprise me. A lot of the other foreign countries, usually these people are not going to be in the United States because the FBI will come like crashing down their door. So they're not in the United States. These people are wiring money outside of the States. So it's really hard to find them. So anyways, if you like this channel, please hit the subscribe button if you haven't done so already. I will be doing more reaction videos. This was more kind of an article reaction, but I do want to start getting into more video reaction videos and making that every Monday. So we're working on a couple of different systems in the background to make that work and make that happen. But I hope you guys like the new studio setup. We are going to have more backgrounds pretty soon. This is only going to be temporary until February, and this is going to all change again because we're going to be closing on a new home and hopefully not putting ourselves to wire fraud while we close. But we will be setting up a new studio in the basement there. So thank you again for watching our videos, and until next time, have a great day.